Hello again, my beautiful, beautiful internet friends. We meet again on this very dark and gloomy morning, honestly. I don't know if you can hear it, but there's the pitter-patter of rain outside. Anyways, let's get on to the point though, because I have a little bit to address today, so I'd like to talk about it. So recently, I watched a video by one of the renowned conservative voices, Andrew Klavan, one of the true good guys on the Daily Wire, a true neocon boomer, and he had some interesting thoughts. So the video was titled something along the lines of, have intercourse with your wife, save the country. And what his argument in this video boiled down to, which is linked in the description, I don't recommend you... Well, first of all, before I go into it, one of the things he said in his video is that he called a lot of the dissenters against marriage grifters, and so they were saying he basically claimed they were outrage culture, right? They're basically grifting to try and attain views for sort of having this motif around them where all they do is complain without solutions, even though the solutions I think they're presenting are fairly clear and fairly obvious. Like, whether or not you agree with it, Andrew Tate's solution of, become a rock star, well, unattainable for most men. Even though he says it's attainable, let's be clear here, it's not really attainable. He's selling fairy juice because he's a pimp and a number of other things. But, he does have a solution there. It's, become Chad and, basically degrade women and use them and become a pimp like him, right? That's his strategy. So, there are solutions being presented. He just refuses to accept that. And then he calls them all grifters. It's pretty interesting that he calls them grifters when... Well, I try and watch his video, and my sponsor block blocks off at least like 30 or 40% of his video because he's shilling something the entire time. Like, getting through a Daily Wire video without, having to listen to one of their 28 infomercials is nearly impossible. Like, thank God sponsor block exists so I don't have to listen to that dribble. Like, it takes so much to get through one of those videos. But here we are, and so since they've been talking about marriage, I've actually been watching a few of them, and I just can't even believe the hypocrisy as far as Klavan goes in his latest video. Absolutely ridiculous, just since we're getting into it now, just as a default. His argument is basically the feminist argument, literally ripped straight out of feminism. It's have sex, I sell argument, it's touch grass. That's basically what he's saying. This degenerate boomer, is saying that the solution to all of our problems is printing more children. Now, one, he doesn't really believe that. Two, it's an ad hominem. Do you want to know how I know he doesn't believe it? Because people look at people's actions, not the words they say, right? Look at Andrew Klavan's house, his lineage. Is his son having children? No, he raised a degenerate homosexual. Factually speaking, Andrew Klavan's son is not bringing more babies into the world, unless, they're transplanting some womb from a female to male or whatever. He is not bringing any more children. So Andrew Klavan, when he actually cares about someone, he does not try and force them to bring more children into the world. He's not forcing them into the marriage meat grinder. He's not forcing them to throw away their livelihood, their potential, for literally nothing. In fact, if you look at his son, he supports him 100% in his, no marriage, well, I don't know if it's marriage, but no children lifestyle, right? So, what does that mean? How do you even draw to, how do you get to make this argument where the solution is have children when your lineage is literally not having children? When you raised a homosexual, and you supported a homosexual and let that be your progeny. Like, the argument, doesn't hold water even there. Like, go clean up your own house before you tell me what to do. Secondly, his argument about, taking on the risk or whatever. No. Find the right woman is not the argument. The argument is there is no right woman because every single woman has the ability to call the cops on you, have them escort you out of the house you bought, and then give that house to her. There is no recourse against that as a man. There is no woman in this country that does not have that ability, period. You want to know the solution, since he talks about them not, since he ignores the solutions that are very obvious. The solution is not to play rigged games. The solution is to protest. What is the most effective form of protest? Look at Mahatma Gandhi. Look at all of the best protests throughout history. Nonviolent, non-compliance, not doing anything. When you stop holding up society, it falls. The solution is Judeo-Christian values are already dead. This trife, this boomer garbage that he's been spewing is gone already. We're just in its death spirals. It's all going to zero. It's all going to crash. There's nothing more to worry about it. There's nothing more to fret. There's nothing more anyone can do about it. So the reality of the situation is the solution is to just Mahatma Gandhi this mother effer. The solution is to stop playing rigged games, stop helping people that hate you, that are launching ad hominems against you, whose main primary argument against you is telling you to touch grass. It's telling you to have sex, I sell. This is literally a feminist talking point, ripped straight out of feminist frequency. It's so crazy that the, conservatives, the neocons, are sharing the exact same opinion as a radical feminist. That's how much this issue drives all of the establishment types crazy. Gotta have my tea. Tea. And that's how you know why it's so effective and why anyone who's not participating in it is so right. Now, let's get into the topic here. This is going to have a negative impact on your life if you forgo relationships, if you forgo women, if you disengage from society, if you do what I've told you to do, where you basically go live a minimalist lifestyle, stockpile some money, get some passive income going, and then not be a slave to anyone. You stop being a slave to the system. You stop being, Andrew Klavan's 401k bank. You stop being all of this degenerate garbage. You detract from it, and then you stop holding it up and stop propping it up. You do sacrifice to do this. It's not all roses. At the end of the day, you're going to have to deal with loneliness. You're going to have to deal with a lot of these horrible factors. And guess what? You're probably going to have to deal with them anyways, except at least you'll have, a life that you can live in any way you choose or whatever way you see fit. There is a future in companionship. You can get at least coping mechanisms. You can have the 2D waifus. There's going to be local language models and AI companions that come out within your lifetime, especially if you're my age, 35, 36. Within your lifetime, almost assuredly, there will be a little anime girl on the bottom of your screen that's going to be able to interact with you while you play your stupid video games. And it's going to be enough. You can trick yourself into thinking it's real. Is it as good as the real thing? No, of course not. Is it going to be perfect? No, of course not. But you are sacrificing. You are sacrificing not only your tax dollars, but the tax dollars of all the little bastards you would have printed all along the way to bring this system down, to bring Andrew Klavan's 401k crashing down on his head, to bring, it down on his little homosexual children's head, to bring this whole system down, to take everything apart, to dismantle Judeo-Christian values, these feminist values, this gynocracy that has 52% of the population women voting on 48% of the population men, going to go die so they can acquire resources and so they can have easier mate selection. That's the truth of the matter. That's what you're fighting against. And so, is it worth the sacrifice? Is it worth some personal discomfort and loneliness to be able to bring down the system? Of course. Just look at the sacrifices made by other protests throughout history. And you know how effective this protest is because it's breaking everything apart. Because when you stop participating in this system, when you stop running in the rat race, when you stop funding Tyrone's little chadettes, when you stop going into marriages and relationships, when you fill the world up with this loneliness and this bleakness, when you bring society down because you're not engaging and not helping to promulgate all of this bullshit, when you're not continuing this legacy of anti-male discrimination, when you're not doing all of these horrible things, when you're not touching grass anymore like Andrew Klavan so disgustingly put it, when you don't have sex with your wife, you bring everything to a halt. The flow of money stops, the flow of goods stops, the flow of your labor stops. You're no longer a slave, and that's the worst thing. What Andrew Klavan doesn't want to tell you is that every single 5 out of 10 male, every single ugly guy on the planet is expected to be a slave. In previous times, in his old age, sure, you could have a monogamous relationship, but something like 85% of men used to get that and would have, relationship and would have all of these things. And that was the price women paid, the sacrifice women paid to make society work, was dealing with men that were not Chad. They no longer have that. Women's liberation freed them from that, but it also placed the barrier on them now. They're going to have to hold up their end of society without men. If you have all the power in society, you have all the responsibility. And if women can't hold up society, then it can crumble as well. Everything can crumble. And I don't care if the Marxists win, if the Democrats win in the end. Like, I wasn't going to win either anyways. I don't care if everything comes crashing down. That's my goal. Like, I don't care if China even takes over the country. The Chinese never called me a racist. The Chinese didn't, raise a culture to hate me, At the end of the day, breaking down this system and breaking down these people that set up this system is the only goal, is the final objective. And the best way to do that, the most effective form of protest, the one that guarantees you're going to be effective and guarantees that no one's going to be able to stop you, is simply just doing nothing. There is no more powerful thing you can do in this world than simply don't participate in this rigged freaking game. Then don't participate in Andrew Klavan's 401k farming. Don't participate in him selling another Tumblr or whatever he's trying to advertise to you. His umpteenth millionth book that he needs to be able to, make his children millionaires or whatever his goal is. Who even cares? Right? Stop taking on the risk for him to profit off you. Stop taking on all of these horrible risks. Make the system change. And if the system changes and things fix themselves because we, stopped participating in it, that's great. They're probably not going to. Things are probably going to get much, much worse, and they're going to continue to get worse because everyone despises you. Get it through your head. If you are a sub-10 male, pretty much, anything below at least the upper half of men, anything below sub-5, they hate you, they want you dead, they want you to be a slave to the system. That's it. They do not care about you. Andrew Klavan does not care about you, or else he would give you the same advice that he gave his son. Period. The fact that you have a different rule set than the people that he cares about should tell you more than enough. And they're all like that. There is no argument. There is no percentage of women in this country that can't divorce ravage you, that can't take everything from you if you get married to them. Period. The laws are set up that way. It does not matter what percentage of them might not decide to take that out on you. The fact is, they all have that option. I don't care if it's one, out of every million marriages that gets this sort of divorce treatment. Right now, there's, outside of the family court in New York, there's a literal statue of Hydra holding the head of the hero that killed her in Greek mythology. Think about what that means. Think about how evil family court is. Think about how evil society is, where women can vote on leaders to then go send men to die so they can get resources. Think about how awful this society is and how ultimately cruel it is and how unfair it is. How you're labeled from the moment you're born the universal evil in this world as a man. Period. Just don't participate. You're not owed, they are not owed your protection. They are not owed your service. They are not owed your resources. They are not owed your commitment. They are not owed your relationships. You owe these people nothing. Just stop participating. Figure out a way to get enough passive income to where you don't need to participate, and then stop. And if that's going on disability and stealing from the system, go ahead. If that's saving up for a couple years and then living off passive income on a modest lifestyle like me, that's fine too. Figure it out. Unlike Andrew Klavan and all of these other people, I'm not grifting. I don't care if I don't have a Patreon. I don't care if you link this video or like it or subscribe it or whatever. If you want to share it to your friends and spread my message, that's great. But I am not in it for the money. These grifting old people are. These grifting Daily Wire shills are. They're the ones that are the actual grifters. My channel is not monetized, never will be. I don't have any links to anywhere where you can even send me money. I don't want it. I don't need it. My life's fine without it. It wouldn't do anything anyways. That's just how it is. Like, figure out a way where you can get in that position where you're a slave to no one. And then exact our revenge by doing nothing and living the best lives that we can, even if they're not perfect lives, even if they're not good lives. Sacrifice your lineage, sacrifice your children to bring down this system. Sacrifice, the potential happiness that you could have if it works for you. It's fine. Like, there's, even an ugly, a marigolem, half Jewish, half mystery meat like me, could find someone probably if I really tried, right? She would divorce me, obviously, because, why wouldn't she when she can get on Tinder, after she takes off my resources? I could go down that road too. I know for a fact I would not be one of the lucky ones. I'm not that attractive. I'm not that status of a man where a woman would want to keep me over just the resources that I could provide, right? I'm short. I'm not attractive. That's the reality of the situation. So I am not sacrificing much, but some of you out there are. And if you're willing to make that sacrifice to bring down the system, all the more power to you. The only thing you have to do is just not stick it. Just do the exact opposite of what these people tell you to do. When the neocons tell you to have children, don't do it. When the feminists tell you to make families and support all of these single mommies, don't do it. Like, you don't need to do any of this. Just do the exact opposite of what the people that hate you tell you to do, and I guarantee you will have a much better life than what they're telling you to do. It might not be a perfect life. It might not have everything you need or want. Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? You're not going to have intimacy. You're not going to have relationships. You're going to have to live without, or, get them through AI. But in the future, you're going to be able to write, your own AI, or, they're going to do something with local language models where it'll be able to run on a home computer. Within our lifetimes, there will be that kind of technology. We just got to hold on for a little bit longer, and we just got to wait for things to collapse. There's going to be so many that join this movement, that protest with us, that it's only a matter of time before we develop even better coping mechanisms that exist than currently. Things are only looking up on our side. On theirs, they're going to have to think of some changes and some solutions to get us back in the fold. The world has to make it up to us, not the other way around. Remember that.